Hello everybody, how are we doing? It's still Happy Wednesday. Hope all the game cats are doing good, and people that have just been on my live show, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again. Wes will be with me in just a moment. He's going to be dialing in, and this is completely impromptu. Nothing has been planned other than we were going to jump back on. But yeah, it's good to see lots of people here. Glad that you like the music. Good to see you, Mojo. Lots of love goes out to Brian. He couldn't do Gamescast live on PSVR Without Parole, and something I spoke to him about a couple of weeks ago was one of the wonderful things about Brian cultivating this great community is that we are able to look out for each other, and that also means that with having 4 hosts, if there's ever a point where one of us can't do something, the other can step in. So a week on Friday, I haven't actually told Brian this yet. I was going to be telling him later today, and he doesn't need to worry about this now. But I'm on tour with my band a week on Friday, so Wes or AJ will step in, or maybe someone else. Who knows? So there's all that. But on the flip side, if Brian can't do it, okay, we're not going to be on the main channel. The flagship show should definitely always have Brian there because he's the producer, magician, and all those things. But it means that one of us can step in and do one of these side things, and we just put it in the Discord. A lot of you have joined. I've already got twice as many people watching my live show than normal. So a huge thank you for those that came over. Right, Wes is calling in now, so let me see if I can bring him on. Hey, dude. You can hear me? Right, I can hear you. Right, I'm going to bring you on now. So I assign you to the guest 1, okay? And what's going to happen here is I'm going to click this button for convo, and it should work. Wes.
Yes. 1 2 1 2. Are we working?
This works. Okay, this is the most difficult bit. This has worked really well, and this has worked through an internet browser as well. So yeah. By the way, anyone that's in the chat, your text is going to come up at the bottom like this. So we have literally not even spoken about what we're going to talk about, other than I think we've agreed PSVR, right?
Yeah, but the rules are a little loosey goosey here. We'll see where it goes.
Loosey goosey, I love that. And also, it's cool for us to just have a one-to-one conversation because, like, we've done shows with Brian and AJ where it was all of us reacting to the show, the state of play, which was great. But just having a one-to-one, this is cool, man. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. As am I.
And how's your week been?
It's been all right, man. I've been, I've been taken to the bed quite a bit because, as I'm sure you know, I injured my foot a couple of weeks ago, and it's healing very slowly. So I'm home from work. I've had my feet high in the air for most of the week, but I'm starting to kind of get back into my normal routine with regard to VR and the channel and all of that. I was out of commission, pretty much out of it all last week.
Oh, really?
And we're, I made my spots, right? We did our shows, but I haven't been playing like VR for fun very much lately. And over the last couple of days, I've kind of gotten back into that.
And what games have you been playing when you've had a chance?
Oh, what are we playing this week? I've been kind of trying to cram because we're doing we're doing Game of the Month tonight. We always at the end of the month we nominate the games on each of the major platforms, and we select a Game of the Month or 2, which will then go on to be nominated for our year-end show for the Game of the Year. It's basically just a way for us to save a lot of work at the end of the year when we do the Game of the Year and all of those awards. But to answer your question, I've played some Moss Book 2 lately. What else have I been playing? I've been playing a lot of stuff. I was about to get into Lost Ember right before you pinged me. We've been doing Shock Troops, which we're giving away a few copies of that tonight, by the way, guys. Last call. Check out our most recent video if you want to get in on that. Did Compound for a little while today, and Ruins Magus.
Cool. Well, I would say as I'm talking now, definitely put your channel URL in the chat so people can see it. Obviously, a lot of game cats know about you already. But for those that have come from my show and perhaps don't watch PSVR Without Parole, especially if they're in the UK and for them it's too late. Although I make an effort, 11 o'clock at night my time, and a lot of them have returned now. Yeah, to be honest, I've actually not played a lot of VR this week. Work
Well,
has
you're
just been,
busy, right? You've
oh,
been
dude.
touring, right?
That's happening next week. It's happening next
Next
week.
week.
Yeah. But I've
Okay.
been doing a lot of rehearsals for it, which is has been very very busy. And then also just like the heat in the UK has been so tough, and we don't have aircon as a standard. Like I have an aircon unit, but it's upstairs, and I wheel it in between the office and my bedroom. I'm not taking it downstairs, and I don't know. When stuff starts cooling down, I'll definitely have that headset on a lot more. I wonder what the heating's going to be like on the PSVR 2. Are they going to, they talked about with the PS5, it had a good cooling system, a good fan. Are we going to find out that the PSVR 2 comes with a built-in aircon unit so your eyes always feel optimal temperature? What do we think?
Well, we already know that they have the revolutionary venting system
They
that you can
do.
see right on the front. So at least we know that the lenses aren't going to fog, right?
That is true. Although I personally have never had issues with fogging. The only time, unless I get really sweaty, and then that's just like, I think just sweat dripping onto it. I know a lot of friends when they have glasses on, obviously you got sort of two lenses, and like even if it's a little bit of fog, having just those two lenses, it's gonna amplify the issue. So I'm sure it's gonna be good for people in that situation. What's it like? Because you have a Meta Quest 2, is that right? Uh,
That's right. I have a Quest 2 and HP Reverb G2.
right. And how are they when it comes to like the inner experience? Because I've not. The only other headset I've ever used was the HTC Vive
Yeah.
many years ago when my brother introduced me to it, and that was when I was introduced to Job Simulator and is it Raw Data?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mind-blowing experiences, and I kind of want to know what it'd be like jumping back in, because I sort of did that and then I went in with PSVR and I haven't gone back. Yeah, I mean, how do they compare in terms of inside the headset?
Well, I mean, in terms of like heat and like the lenses fogging up, they're all pretty comparable. I would say PSVR is a little bit better because you have that button and that slide. So on the off chance that it does start to fog up, all you gotta do is pull it out for like 3 to 5 seconds, and then you're good. You can pull it right back in. Um, with regard to Quest 2, in terms of general comfort, it's not comfortable at all. You're starting with PSVR, you're pretty much starting with the most comfortable headset on the market. They nailed that aspect of it. And with like Quest 2, um, I mean, they say that they're $400, but you might as well bank on it being an extra 100 just for comfort mods, not to make it like super comfortable, but just to make it really bearable for a long play session. You have to mod it a little bit. Now my G2 it's very comfortable. It uses a similar Halo style strap to the PSVR, and it has a top support as well. It's a high quality headset, and I would call it comparable in terms of comfort to PlayStation VR.
Mojo was just asking who. Mojo, I don't think, have you ever played VR before? But saying, I'm assuming the basic VR headsets don't have any vents at all. I mean, what PSVR doesn't. I mean, it's the only thing you've got is that you've got the headset itself, which is a physical thing. You know, that is there, and then around your eyes, you've got these plastic. I don't even know what it's called, like the guards, and there are sort of gaps in it. I mean, look, that's covering your eyes, but there is sort of gaps, but that's not real airflow. So it's going to be interesting to see what the PSVR 2 one offers. Oh, you've never played it. You gotta jump into VR when PSVR 2 comes out, Mojo. I mean, for people that have never experienced VR and that's going to be their first experience, it's
Wow.
because they're going to be like, what? How did you ever play? And like get them to put on a PSVR headset, they'll be like, how did you ever? It's like telling kids now about what gaming was like when we were
Yeah.
growing up, and like,
Well,
yeah.
well, that's kind of been probably the biggest benefit to the Quest 2 era is the fact that you can't really describe to someone what VR is like. I mean, I tried it today at the barber shop, and I failed miserably. You have to try it for yourself, and it becomes immediately apparent. Even in the menu, you really understand that you're kind of dealing with a different level of entertainment, whether it be gaming or movies or what have you. It's very difficult to describe. Um, so yeah, having the mobile VR headset has kind of allowed for the technology to make its way to the masses a lot faster, because now you don't have to bring people to your house to show them anymore. You can take the VR to them. So,
That's awesome. I just want to do a bit of housekeeping. I mentioned it on the Discord already, but firstly, as I mentioned, this is an impromptu show. Wes and I are going to chat for about half an hour, probably until the hour, just because I've got a really long work day tomorrow. So I don't want to. I was just talking on my last show about burnout and not overdoing it, and it was like, should we do another show after this 90 minutes? I was like, yeah, gotta do it. So that's the first thing. Secondly, hit the like button. It wouldn't be me if I wasn't saying that. Do hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel and never watch my stuff, please subscribe if you'd like to. I always like to see GameCats on my show every Wednesday, or as it's now called, Wesner's Day. At this point of the day, that's it. And then finally, I'm just going to bring up this graphic that I use for my show. I've never used it on this screen before. I don't know if it's going to work. It kind of works. I'm not going to resize it. I use this for the Q&A section of my show, which is the last Wednesday of every month. But it's the call to action at the very bottom, that if any of you watching have any questions for Wes or I, just put it in the chat, but put a Q at the beginning of it, and then I can star it and I can save it on my dashboard, and it means that I won't miss it and I can go back to it. So, you know, if you want to chat away, but if you have a question for us, just put a Q at the beginning and then I can save it, and then we can go back to it. And I think that's kind of how we're going to conduct this conversation. But with that said, one of the questions that was asked was by Karina, was, Wes, how did you get into VR? Like, what was your first VR experience?
no,
Because as you said, it's difficult to pitch VR to people. Like, it has to be something that is really literally introduced to you, not as a concept, but like either someone hands you a headset or you're at the mall and there's an experience. What was that like for you?
well, for me, I was aware of virtual reality for a very long time before it actually came to the consumer market. It was always kind of science fiction when we were growing up. But I was very interested in like even the oldest movies, like Lawnmower Man, Brain Scan, these types of things, always kind of caught my imagination. So time goes on, I start to hear rumblings of Oculus Rift, and immediately I get excited because virtual reality is finally becoming a thing. So I look into it and I find out the kit is some ridiculous amount of money. You have to have a computer that's thousands of dollars, and it isn't even a consumer product at this point. It's still a developer kit that the general public can pick up if you have a ton of money. And then there are demos that float around that you can just download and play on it. Anyway, that was completely out of my price range. I couldn't get into it. And fast forward a couple of years, and then I start to hear about PlayStation VR. And at this time, I had been a lifelong gamer, but I'd kind of gotten away from it. Outside of like some emulators and retro gaming, I'd kind of grown bored with gaming until I learned about PlayStation VR. And again, I didn't have a lot of cash flow. I don't have a lot of cash flow. So as soon as I learned about PlayStation VR, I bought a PS4. And with the idea was I go ahead and get my console now. By the time next Christmas rolls around, we can get a VR headset, and we'll try it out. So literally, I'd bought the headset before I'd ever tried any VR. Just the fact that there was finally consumer VR that I could afford was enough for me. So I bought it on a blind hunch that I was going to love it, and we actually bought it in July, and the plan was to hold it till Christmas and open it as a present. Then we got a good deal. We bought it early because we found it on sale. But it was July 2017. We held it for about 2 weeks. And all the meanwhile, I'm watching PSVR Frank. I'm watching Brian on Without Parole. And these guys are showing me how awesome it's going to be. And by the time a couple of weeks roll around, we couldn't take it anymore. We opened it up, we tried it on. And I think I played PSVR demo disc volume 1 for a solid week, just replaying the demos over and over again until I finally got some games. But
And
I
what
was
what was on the demo disc?
there was a level of Rush of Blood. There was a level from Here They Lie, which actually neither of those were the first level either. They were like levels from mid game, so they were actually really good, really fun. And there was a Resident Evil 7 demo that was not a part of the game at all, but a standalone experience made with those assets in that engine. There was a couple of other
And
things.
it wasn't
I
the
think
kitchen. It wasn't the kitchen.
yeah, kitchen.
Yeah,
It was kitchen, exactly.
That's so good. And so what, did that demo just come with the headset when you bought it?
It did. Yeah, there was a disc included in the box.
That's awesome. Oh man. So my first VR experience, and thanks everyone who's sending the questions. They're not getting lost. I've got a list of 9 at the moment. I see lots of you sending a question then wanting to retract your question, which is not something we do. If you send a question, you're committed. The question is submitted, and that is final. Okay? I love all these questions now coming in. So my first experience, some people were talking about like in the early 90s and that, was in London. We had, it's called Trocadero now. It's this multi-story arcade place with lots of experiences. But when I was a kid, it used to be called Sega World. And you basically paid money to go into an arcade machine where you then spent $1 to go on each machine. So it was a complete rip-off. But it was Sega World, you did it. But they had these really cool experiences, and one of them was a VR one where you went into what felt like a cinema sort of layout, big screen at the back. You sat in a chair, you put a headset on, a VR headset, and I can't really tell you... I can imagine what the graphics were like back then, which was, it was, you know, flat colours. There was maybe like 6 colours on screen, and you were in an aircraft and you were flying with everyone else and you were like shooting things out the sky. Now, the feeling at the time was immersive. It felt like you were really controlling this plane and, you're in this world. And now looking back, I wonder, actually, was it that you were just controlling where you were shooting? It was like a rail shooter, and actually you couldn't look behind you. I can't remember, but it was incredibly primitive. But at the time, it was mind-blowing, because the thing about VR was it did make an insurgency originally, and then it fell back because it wasn't a domestic product. And that has actually been quite the success of the PSVR. It's one of the first headsets to mainstream VR and get it into people's homes. And as I mentioned, my brother bought a HTC Vive, and he brought it over to my parents at Christmas. And I remember putting it on and going into Job Simulator, and the menu, just like being in the hallway and looking around, I remember gasping of like, the thing I always try and describe to people about VR is, and it's an obvious thing about it for people that play VR, but for people that haven't, it's depth perception. It's, you have a screen for each eye, and so when you're looking down a corridor, it's not just you're seeing a corridor, it feels there because you're actually seeing the 3D. It's not like watching 3D movies on TV because you've got a flat screen, an area, and it's kind of coming towards you. It's like, no, it feels like you're actually there. And so for a menu of Job Simulator, the fact that blew my mind was something. And then Raw Data, and then there was one of the drawing creative games, but it was also where you could then search a keyword and you could load a creation from someone else around the world. And one of them was someone had done like a forest with a train going through into a tunnel. So you load it and it instantly spawns around you. So you're in a forest, a 3D artwork, and you're like looking in the tunnel. And we played Pictionary in VR with the family, watching around the monitor and stuff. And then I sort of went away from it. And then when PSVR came out, I can't remember. I saw a lot of friends playing it from time to time. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to jump in. And then the reason I found PSVR Without Parole is I was looking for reviews on games. And I found this review for Pixel Ripped, 1989. And I thought the review was amazing, and I was like, oh, this is a channel I can trust. And I watched more and more, and that was kind of the gateway drug for PSVR Without Parole. But yeah, so I'd experienced VR a very long time ago. Obviously, it's been a big jump since then, and I was quite a late adopter for PSVR. But one of the comments we actually did get was, Karina was mentioning that uh, Call of the Mountain Horizon is going to be what makes her finally jump into it. So yeah,
Nice,
really,
nice.
really good. I mean, it's going to be that's the thing. It's going to be
Cherish.
mind blowing for first time players. It's going to be mind blowing for long time players as well. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, cherish it. Cherish your first days in VR are the best. And over time, your brain kind of adapts to it so that the 3D isn't quite so 3D, and you just kind of get used to it, which is a good thing for a lot of people. You know, some people who are super motion sickness prone, as your brain adapts, you get used to it. But for most people, the early days are absolutely the best. And VR addiction is kind of like drug addiction, where we get hooked immediately, and then from that point on, we spend every penny we've got chasing that feeling we had the first time we put the headset on. So those of you who haven't tried it yet, just enjoy it, and because it really, obviously for Miles, for myself, and many of the people in our circle, it was a life-changing experience. And I'm sure some of you that are watching today, it will change your life as well.
it's really, really well put. Margosoft said in the chat, first VR experience I played on a VR flight sim in the very early 90s. Then there was a TV game show called Cyberzone. So I don't know if is that in the States.
I'm not familiar with it.
I always talked about Nightmare, which was a TV show in the UK. I did it on a previous one of my shows about childhood memories, and it was in the early 90s. It wasn't exactly VR, but it was where you had a few kids, and they nominated one of their team, and they put this like medieval helmet on, which blinded them, except what was just directly below them. So like they could see their feet, and when they're at a table, they could see items to pick up and put in their bags. And then they would go into this room, which was clearly a green screen room, and the kids are watching on a screen, and they have to tell them to step forward and left, and if there's like a platform they have to go across, or a big spider, which was always scary. And that was like the closest to VR, because it was a virtual world, and you felt the kid was able to see it, but it was like, no, they're literally in a empty studio being told to go left and right and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really, really cool to see. Nightmare was genius. You liked it. That's cool. And it was so ahead of its time. Mark says, my first VR experience was the shark dive. I think that's one of the best things to send people in, especially
Yeah.
non-gamers. Because it's like, okay, the first thing I want you to do is experience VR and not worry about anything other than moving your head. And yeah. Okay, Spooferman. I remember this. So I don't know if it was called Disney Quest. Disney Quest was in downtown Disney. So this was about 20 years ago. Last time I ever went to Disney in Florida. And there was a load of VR experiences. And again, you paid for experiences. One of them was where you designed a roller coaster, and then you sat in this machine, and then you got to ride your own roller coaster. And when it went upside down, you went upside down. It was amazing. And they had a Jedi VR game where I remember my brother playing it, and we could see each other in VR. And again, it felt real at the time. I bet you if I wore that device now, it would feel so outdated and terrible. But yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah, I remember back to those early days. When you think about when like Super Nintendo came along, just how realistic all that stuff looked. And now you go back and play those games, and it looks like garbage. But yeah, so I imagine that our memories probably are a little more realistic looking than it actually was at the time, right?
Yeah. Oh man, some of these first games that people are mentioning, I'm always thinking like, what would the worst first game be? And I'm wondering if it's going to be some kind of horror game. Like, if you're not into horror, a horror game is obviously going to be the worst first experience. Someone said Skyrim and Firewall, your first two games. I mean, those are. I mean, I do think Firewall is a brilliant first experience game, because one thing I love about Firewall, Although I think the main game is really difficult for first time players because obviously it's turned like once you're dead, that's it. And you've got three other players frustrated of why are you still, why haven't you been doing anything? It's like, look, it's my first time. But the tutorial in Firewall is one of the best tutorials ever in a VR game because it's like a minute long, but it shows you where you're, if you're using the aim controller, it shows you this is what you've got to press. And it's just so well done. It's like walk here. It's not like here's how to walk. Now walk around all these different corridors and and do it again until you get it right. It's like no, you just walk in here. It just cuts to the point and teaches you very very quickly. Oh yeah, everyone keeps talking about Last of Us in
Also,
VR. Yeah, it would be good.
Firewalls has a really good private training mode, so that you can literally go into the maps, and or at least at the time when I was new, you could go into all the maps, fight bots, and become very familiar with your weapons, with your environments, and with how the game works before you even play with another person. And I found that very helpful. I mean, even back when I started at it, which was when the game launched, you could level up. I don't know if they still allow you to gain experience and level up in training, but I probably leveled up to like a level 8 or 10 before I even played with any other people in
Right.
Firewall.
Do you know though I actually find in Firewall the AI terrifying. Like it genuinely creeps me out because they keep respawning and you're walking around these corridors. They don't make any sound, I don't think, other than when they're opening doors, and they're so well. They have no expression, and I'll be walking around, and then you see them, and they're so unhuman like. It just it's like you know how mannequins creep out some people. For me,
Yeah.
it's about context. Obviously, a mannequin in a store, not that creepy because it's meant to be there wearing clothes. A mannequin at the end of a street, like in I Am Legend, if anyone's seen that movie, yeah, that's slightly more creepy. But in Firewall, I don't know. For me, I always found it really unnerving. And I'm sure that's not the effect they were going for. Um,
Lifeless, emotionless AI coming to get you, Miles.
yeah. I do worry though about the point when AI and like computer graphics in VR get so good that there'll be a point where you question whether you're speaking to an NPC or another VR player. And just on a side note, I believe there is a law in place in some countries that if you get called up by a robot, that is being done like legally, not these scam ones. They don't give a shit about rules. But if it's like an actual company, they actually have to declare that you're speaking to a robot because there's some kind of ethical implication that you need to be told when you're speaking to a robot and when you're speaking to a real human. So maybe that will have to become a thing in multiplayer games, like or because otherwise, I don't know. There's going to become a part where it's really indistinguishable. But yeah, it's a kind of cool thing about the future of VR. Right, we've got loads of questions. So I'm going to get your channel URL and put it in the description while you answer this next one. So,
Sure.
Butter Something, which by the way, that icon is amazing. When will we see the first demo on PSVR? I assume you mean like actually someone playing it and showing it. When do you think, Wes?
Well, typically, I would have expected that to happen by now, but we live in a different world now, and live events are really not a thing anymore. So it's difficult to say. There have been rumors for a long time now that PlayStation Experience will return. Those typically take place in December, but we've had these same rumors for 2 years prior, and it hasn't happened at this point. I think we're going to learn a lot more about PSVR 2 within 6 to 8 weeks. I think when we have the next big PS5 showcase, probably in September, we'll learn a lot more. But as far as like hands-on demos, um, I don't know, man. There aren't a whole lot of events that I know of that are left for the remainder of the year. Now, with that said, and if it does actually turn out to be launching in late February, early March, I would say that Winter CES in Las Vegas is probably the best bet. I think they'll demo it there, if anywhere.
Yeah, because there are events like Comic Con happen for the first time in a few years. So like in-person events are happening. But it's something I think all of us have mentioned on our various Gamecast live shows, which is the marketing is all in live streaming now and hearing from your friends. And as you say, telling people what VR's like is not the same as showing people. And you can watch someone there on camera doing it, but you've got to try it on for yourself. So you're either going to do that at an event, or you're going to do it when a friend shows you, or get these cool new broadcast settings that they're going to do, where you're going to see people moving around in the space. I think that's going to be really impactful. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Right, we're going to start going through these questions a bit faster. When is FIFA coming to VR and foot controllers? Can you imagine that? Because there is that football game in VR, but you have to use your hands to kick the ball and run, and it just feels so odd. But like VR footwear.
Well, I have had recently a couple of different experiences in VR chat on Steam, and as far as like the hand and foot tracking, that's all a real thing right now on PCVR. But it's very expensive, and it only really works well if your VR tracking system has external trackers. So most modern VR, the headset tracks the controllers and tracks itself in space. That alone is going to make this kind of foot tracking a difficult thing to work well enough to game with in like a FIFA game or something. So I don't know. I would say that something FIFA VR might not be all that far away, but with like full on body and foot tracking, that might be a while before that happens.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Callie Timecat, oh, this is one of the ones that wanted to scratch, said, how will you get to sleep after quite a late show? Okay, scratch that. What time zone are you in? What time zone are you in, Wes, right now? What time is it where you are?
I'm in Eastern Standard Time, East Coast US. It is about 12 minutes till 7 p.m. where I'm at.
Man. Oh, man. An hour after that was when I started heading back from London to get back for my show at 9 p.m. and it's now 10 to 12. And I can say in the future, it's just very sweaty and hot. And PSVR 2 still hasn't come out yet, Wes. So I can give you the heads up 5 hours ahead. It's not coming.
Damn. Well, thank you for letting me know. I can take the rest of the night off.
Yeah. You can sleep well, not worrying about missing anything, man. Yeah. Right, next one we got. Okay, what is the probability from Spooferman? What is the probability the PSVR 2 outsells the PSVR 1 in its first year? Zero. How well did it sell, the first one? I don't know.
I would say I would estimate just shy of 6 million units, and I don't think. I mean, it's possible they could rival that in a year if they had the production capacity to get that many units out. But as far as we know, I think the same facilities that are assembling these units are also highly focused on getting PS5s out. And that is going to kind of limit the production capacity by a great margin, especially at first. I think that what the estimates I'm hearing, they plan to have around 2 million units ready to go when they launch. And this is if we go Q1 23, they'll have around 2 million to sell. So it's possible that they could get close to 5 to 6 million by the end of the first year. But I find that highly unlikely.
Do you think they're going to sell out instantly?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
Was there a lot of issues with what are they called? The people that buy them up quickly. I've forgotten the word. It's so late here.
The bots.
Yeah, the bots. Yeah. Was that an issue with VR headsets in the past?
I don't know if it was so much bots. I know when Quest 2 dropped, it took a good 2 to 3 months before the supply met the demand. Like you couldn't get one. I mean, you could pre-order them, and everyone that pre-ordered them got them fairly quickly. But as far as like catching them in stock after that initial phase, it was after Christmas. Like they launched in October, November. It was like late January, early February before the supply caught up. So it wasn't a super hot product in terms of like mainstream. So I'm not sure how many scalpers there actually were at the time. I don't remember anyone like overpaying for one. Everyone pretty much got theirs from a legitimate source. But this is different. This is a PS5 peripheral. It's a much bigger market. When you talk about the PlayStation community, um, potentially we could see higher demand for this than we saw for Quest 2 at launch. So I don't know. Good question.
Cool. Uh, Ian Stanbridge, it was funny, all the people in the chat, scalpers. There was much ruder names they called him in the chat. Ian Stanbridge says, do you think anyone will ever make an emulator on PC for older VR systems like the Amiga VR or Virtual Boy, which can be experienced with more modern PC VR? I mean, the only thing I was going to say on this was on last Friday's show with Brian, when sort of fantasizing about the perfect UI and like home situation. I like the idea that, you start in a room. It's kind of what I talked about my first experience with Job Simulator. Like the menu was amazing, that you start in a 3D space. And it's the idea that you're at home and there might be a TV there with like every PlayStation console, and you could go and play retro games. What if there was like, you're talking about retro, which PlayStation wouldn't do. They would only do their own peripherals. But if one day, like, there's the PSVR and you actually pick it up off the floor and you do this on your head, and then you can play PSVR 1 titles, I think that would be a quirky way of doing it. But like, gaming legacy, preservation of games is important. I think emulators for VR's gonna definitely happen. It'll be the same requirements as just flat screen games, won't it?
Yeah. I think it absolutely will happen. If for no other reason than the emulation community is so large, and those people seem to love being able to crack the code on all of this stuff. I mean, for example, and this is a little bit different, but you can play most GameCube and Nintendo Wii games right now in full 3D VR through an emulator called Dolphin VR. I mean, obviously, it's going to take some time for the raw computing power of everyone's equipment to be able to run things like PSVR 1. But I'd say in like 6, 7, maybe 8 years, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see something like that happen. I would consider it likely.
That's awesome. I can't believe that's all. I mean, it makes sense about the tech, isn't it? It's if you have uh, a code that detects patterns and knows how to translate it into 3D, what each eye sees, then it can work. It reminds me a lot of the conversations around people that are very precious around native 4K. Is this game native 4K? And there's a lot of these Digital Foundry showed, this new AI technology where you do 1080. That's what you render it in, and then the AI upscales it to 4K. And they literally put one next to the other. The human eye can't tell the difference. And that just alleviates a lot of the GPU or CPU strain that would be required for that. So yeah, all this stuff is going to be increasingly available as developers get, even better with the tech that they've got. Right. Let's have a look here. Shooty Hooty Gamecat says, hey Miles, hey Wes, are either of you big into VR driving games and excited for any particular driving games aside from GT7? Played Project Cars 2 recently and would love it to come to PSVR 2. My quick answer to this is I'm just looking forward to, and I know there are some that exist on PSVR at the moment, but a PSVR 2 because I think that a lot of motion sickness issues are going to go away with everything that comes with the new headset, and you get it a lot in driving games. I do personally. I find that games where you move a lot and you sit down doing it, that messes with my mind a lot. I guess like car sickness. But I would love there to be a Mario Kart arcade kind of game to play with friends. That would be me. I haven't got a specific game title in mind, but that's the kind of driving
Dash
title.
Dash.
Yeah.
It's called Dash Dash Racing.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right. It's coming too. It was supposed to be coming to PSVR 1, but kind of went MIA, so likely to be a PSVR 2 title.
That's cool.
But it's very Mario Kart, and it's an excellent game. But yeah, it will put your stomach in your throat. But they warn you which tracks. Like not all the tracks are that intense. They tell you which ones are, so you can avoid them if you're sensitive to it.
Awesome. I'm mindful of time, so we're going to do quick fire for the rest of these. Okay. So Mojo said earlier the last game I played on console was San Andreas on the PS2, and the reason I highlighted this is there is a VR version of this coming out. Is there actually a release date on it? It's for the Meta Quest, isn't it?
Yeah, I would expect to get more information on this in October at the next Meta Connect event. This is something that they announced last October, and we expected to hear more on it in April at the Meta Gaming Showcase, and they said nothing about it. So I would expect to learn more at the next Meta event. They're going to be launching a new headset. I would expect that some kind of information about this title to be available then. But again, only time will tell.
Cool. What is the probability that in its first year? Oh, this is we've done this. When do you see game pre-orders for PSVR 2 games hitting the PSN store? Again, I don't remember the context of when the PSVR 1 came out, so I don't know. I assume. I mean, look, this is my general guess of how the release is going to go. I think there's going to be a PlayStation showcase in September. I wonder if they would announce like pre-orders then, or at least say pre-orders are up and coming. I wonder if it's too long to do it in October, if it's coming out in February and March. I guess they could. But I feel
I'm not convinced that they won't move it up. I know that Brian's sources are solid, but the market has fluctuated wildly over the last 3 months. I still am holding out hope that it's not going to be next year. Now,
I'm
obviously,
definitely open to that. I just wonder if for devs, like even devs that feel it's completed, like Call of the Mountain and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's been something they've been quiet about at the moment. It's like, let's just see if we can get this stuff. Is there any resource we can give you to get it before Christmas?
Yeah.
Because it's the thing, isn't it? Devs can't tell us if they know what the release date is, so they're definitely not going to tell us if they knew what the release date is and it's also been pushed forward. Like that's an extra layer of secrecy.
Well, I mean, and Brian's made the point that that would really suck for developers if they were planning on Q1 23 and then it got moved up. But we're not talking about a big jump to get it out this year. If we're talking late February, early March, you're talking about moving it up by 2 to 3 months, and now it's out this year. So I mean, it might screw a few smaller developers over. I got to think that the big budget exclusives that are really going to sell the hardware, they're probably pretty close to complete right now.
Right, that makes sense. I just want to give a shout out to Meow Meow the Game Cat, who just subscribed to my channel. Thank you very much. And I have also put Wes's channel in the description, and I've also put it in the chat. So make sure you subscribe to him. And also in the description, most of you, especially if you're a Game Cat, please do subscribe to PSVR Without Parole. Monday at this time, it would normally be Brian with AJ. Brilliant duo, and AJ is an OG in the space. Then on Wednesday, it's normally Wesner's Day over there with Brian and Wes. And then on Fridays, just because, I want to make sure I can get enough sleep in the morning afterwards, It's me with my sleepy head on Fridays. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Gamecast Live. That's just the live flagship shows. But Brian does reviews, breaking news, PSVR this week. I mean, what does Brian not do? And that is why he deserves a well-deserved rest. So let's give it up for Brian. There we go. I've only got like 5 sound effects, and even though that one does sound like a patronising golf clap, it is better than... So...
Let me ask you, just out of curiosity, are they customizable, or is this just stuff that's like preloaded?
So there is, it's called a sound effects folder. So actually it's for your music and everything. So you can just drop any files you want. And I can actually drop like video files on screen and stuff like that. So Wes, have you been seeing my clips of the week every week on the show with the Rec Room stuff? Have you seen any of these?
I have not.
Okay, right.
I catch pieces of the shows I'm not taking part in, but it's very rare that I sit through an entire one.
And also mine with Brian always ramble on a lot, and we want more Rec Room. So Rec Room is a weird place. I've just got loads of clips, and so basically at the end of the show, when it goes to the thumbnail again and you talk, Brian and I just talk some shenanigans, and then he plays a highlight clip from Rec Room where I show a lot of the weirdness. But just to show you, like, I'll put on screen now one of these highlight clips. Oh, like, everyone's going, oh no. I'm just going to show one of the ones I've already shown that Wes would have not seen. Which one do we want? Let's have a look here. Just to sort of show the absurdities of Rec Room. So, oh, this one shows the positivity of Rec Room. So, check this out, Wes. Let me know what you think. Oh, wait.
I'm gonna shoot you, bitch.
That has not worked. That has literally replaced me on it. Oh, fuck. Now, wait. How do I change this? Do I... Okay, that works. So I have to do... Right, I'm going to have to do it as a VT thing. So, shit, how am I going to do this? What I'll do is I'll put myself full screen, and then I'll switch it.
I'm gonna shoot you, bitch.
Did you call me a bitch?
No. Shut up.
You're on my stream, so everyone saw you call me a bitch.
I don't call you a bitch. I don't call you a bitch. You are a bitch. There are no lions. I'm speaking. Waar is de tv? Zeg maar recht hier. I'm gonna go shoot you. Bye, motherfucker.
You're very nice.
Hey, don't fucking cuss at me, you prick. Fuck you.
I lied, Miles. I was watching you guys this past Friday. This was from this last week, right?
No, but I did post that one on Twitter saying on the Friday. I posted that on Twitter, so that clip was on there. Okay.
Well, whenever this was on the actual show, I had fallen asleep during the episode, and I woke up to this kid saying all this shit. So I have seen that clip before, but I had forgotten about it until I saw it again. I recognized the username.
Right. Everyone recognizes this kind of behavior. Oh God. I love disarming little kids with their snidey remarks. So I had one actually just the other day. A kid literally said, it was something like, gift me unless you like men. And so I just said, but I do like men. And he went, oh, well, that's cool. And I just said, why'd you say that? And he went, no, forget it. And straight away, really apologetic. Like, they normally get caught up in that stuff. And like, he's a little kid. We all said stupid shit, and there's a lot of toxic culture. But I find sometimes just like echoing back what they've said sometimes makes them just think about it, going, actually, yeah, that didn't sound right. That wasn't cool. And hopefully that was a positive learning experience for him, which, by the way, isn't what Rec Room is about. Rec Room isn't for positive learning experiences. What was this one? Okay, well, I'll show you one. This was at the end of last week's show. This is just a last one we'll show of it.
This is why my children, when they play Rec Room, it's set to friends only. They can coexist in spaces with other people, but they can't talk to one another. It's all just like, gestures. It's because of people like this.
Yeah, it is. Oh man, I've got some really like even weirder shit. Like Mark's copying from the last one. That is what I love about that first clip. Is I'm completely calm because I'm like I'm a grown man. Don't lash out at this kid. Just repeat to him what he was saying, and he's like, "I didn't call you a bitch, you bitch." And then he literally walks off, and then the other guy says what most people would have probably wanted me to say, which is, "Don't cuss me, fuck you." And then the kid's like shocked that he's like being called out for it. And yeah, the bucket was very accurate. I just want to go up the chat again because I missed it a minute ago. Looper, the underground game cat. I feel weird going meow because it's not Gamecast Live, but I'm going to do it. Super chat. The Saints and Sinners 2 blog post on PS website still says Retribution is currently set to come to PSVR in late 2022 and PSVR 2 in 2023. Let me keep it back up there. What would be the point of that if PSVR 2 were going to be released in 2022? My answer for this, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Wes, is it's one thing to delay a game from when you've said, but to bring it forward. Has anyone complained about that? Oh, damn it, I'm going to get it sooner than you said. And our point is, if the expectation is, like, if they can't say when the date is, 2023 is a pretty safe date. Because it's like, if it gets delayed till, like, mid-year, it's not going to come out in 2024. Touch wood. But bringing it forward, they still have room to do it. I don't know. What do you think of that? And again, thank you for the super chat. Much love.
Well, I would say a few things. First of all, I would say that blog post went up in June, and we're long past June at this point, and we will be even further past June if we do get some sort of announcement in September. The other thing I would say is there's a couple of things. First of all, if you look back at the launch of the original Saints and Sinners, you'll notice that it didn't launch concurrently on all platforms. There were different release dates for different VR platforms, and that would just be the norm here. I mean, even nowhere did they say that this was going to be a launch game. And I'm sure they would like for it to be, but something else I'm sure of is that this game was in development probably before they had their PSVR 2 dev kit. So, I mean, it might not be ready to go this year. They may have just gotten their dev kit at the start of the year, when they're already a year into the development of the game. So, again, it's a very fluid situation, and I'm not saying that I think it's coming this year. I'm saying that I think that it still could come this year.
That's good. So I was just having to deal with a porn bot in the chat. That's when you've made it. That's when you've made it, is when you've got porn bots coming into the chat.
It's the same one. They come to yours, they come to mine. I mean, everywhere, man.
That's
Naked HD porn bot is everywhere.
But no, I went to click on the link and I accidentally clicked ban. Right, next questions. We'll wrap this up in the next 5 minutes now. So last chance, put a Q in front of your question. Let's do some quick fire ones. If you can get it in several words, that'd be great. What would you both recommend as a first dive game to play to get into VR for the first time? Yeah. So if you've never played PSVR before, let's do 3 games each. I would say for me, the PlayStation Worlds, the demos, is a good one because that has a good mix. It has the shark one and things like that. I would also say Beat Saber music, and if it's not Beat Saber, you might say something like Pistol Whip or things like that. Obviously, it depends on who the person is, but I think Beat Saber is always a safe bet, especially with the diversity of music that's on it now. Although some people might argue not diverse enough. And then the third one, I would actually maybe say Astrobot Rescue Mission, even though I know, yeah, no, I would say those three things. There's loads
Yeah,
of other
yeah, for
games, but
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I would go. I would go with Rush of Blood. If you like horror games, Rush of Blood's great because it has great gunplay, and you don't have to worry about locomotion. The game moves for you. Super Hot for similar reasons. It's a good way to get down, with some gameplay without having to learn how to move around in VR. And for a third one, you already took mine. I was going to say Astrobot for the third one, but since you said that, I'll say Moss for similar reasons to
yeah,
Astrobot.
yeah. No, that's great. I agree with that. And Rush of Blood actually, it's because I've written it off now because of the PS5 things. Because I was showing one of my parents' friends PSVR for the first time, and I put Rush of Blood on, and I didn't know about this glitch. And it kept pausing, and I kept saying, "Yeah, don't press that button." She's like, "I'm not," and like I wasn't being aggressive with that, and I was probably giving her a complex of like I'm being, you're not a gamer anyway, and you're like, I'm not pressing it. I don't think I am, and I felt really bad because I was like, why do they keep pressing the start button? Just don't press it. And it turns out it was just an automatic glitch. So yeah, I felt pretty terrible about that. And yeah, Super Hot I used to be definitely one to go into for sure. Right. Which PSVR 2 game are you guys most excited for? Should we say that have been released so far, announced so far? I mean, for me, I'm both looking forward to it and terrified of it. Resident Evil 8, just because I rented it when it first came out, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to hold off until the VR version's available.
Yeah, if we're choosing from games that have been announced, as much as I love Resident Evil, and I'm very excited for Village, I've got to be honest. Like the Horizon game
True.
that I know that has been developed with the new hardware in mind to be a showcase of all of the new features. I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
I'm a horror I'm a horror fan, but I know that game is going to be something special. So I would say that.
No, actually, do you know what? My answer was wrong. Yours was the right answer. You're right. It's one that's been built by a first-party studio at PlayStation. Resident Evil 8 will be great, but yeah, for sure, agree with you there. Right. Oh, I think that's it for questions. So, yeah, that is it. Cool.
Nice.
Right, we got through all the questions. I think we're going to wrap up now. Is that cool? Yeah, I think, we wanted to come on and do a little bit. Huge love goes out to Brian, and just love to all the GameCat community. This community is amazing. Always makes me feel incredibly welcome. I know Wes shares that sentiment. Sentiment.
Absolutely.
Just want to say thanks for hanging out. And something that I do on my Wednesday show is every Wednesday it's a different topic. Sometimes it's something fun, like a quiz or talking about movies or games. Other weeks it's more serious stuff. It can be talking about like self-help or life hacks or world events. But it's always a really chilled out atmosphere. So yeah, if you've not subscribed to my channel already, please do. I also launched membership today, but to be honest, I would always say before even considering membership for my channel, go to PSVR Without Parole, become a patron supporter, or join the Discord. I love everything that Brian's done and that what the community is doing together, and that's something we really want to build up. But yeah, do subscribe, and it'd be great to see you at future shows. I know it's a bit earlier in the day for the American Game Cats, but it's always a pleasure to see you there. But something I also am going to be doing is every month now I'm going to be trying to get a guest on the show once a month for one of them. So Wes, you'll have to come back for one of them.
Sure. Anytime.
It'd be awesome. By the way, I love your background. By the way, it just like you actually got the one that I was considering getting at first, and then I saw this one and I thought, oh, what one do I get? And they're both so good.
Yeah. I actually want one of these lights. But I like the background. I don't think that the real life light could ever look as good as the giant one in my background here.
Yeah, no, they're good. PlayStation makes really. I've got really cool PlayStation coasters, which with each of the shapes on them as well. It is a bit weird that the shapes now are losing the colours on the new hardware. Like, they're just white shapes and that. So,
Yeah.
I hope they maintain. The colours are cool. Wes, before we head off, any final words? And also just tell us a bit about your channel and why people should come check it out, because they should.
Yeah, well, we are, as opposed to what we do on Without Parole, my channel is a full service, platform agnostic VR channel. We cover the latest in VR gaming, regardless of platform. So we do a couple of shows a week. On Sunday, we do a news show, which covers all of the latest stories in VR gaming news. And then on Wednesday night, or I guess for those of you in the UK, it would be on Thursday morning, we do a show called Strangers in the Night, which is basically focused on game impressions. And once a month, like tonight, we have our Game of the Month discussion where we name award winners, and we actually lean on the chat quite a bit to help us choose the winners. But yeah, man, if you're a fan of VR, if you're interested in it, we're a good one-stop place for all your VR gaming needs.
That's great, man. Yeah, really appreciate you coming on to do this last minute. As I mentioned right at the start, it's a conversation I had with Brian a while ago, because there's a part of me that was always like, Brian will totally be cool with it, but it's that whole thing of like, hopefully he doesn't mind like us doing a different show, but he totally embraces the idea of like, the Game Cats are eager for a show, and it also takes the pressure off him. It's less of an issue, because it's like, yeah, if you can't do one, then we'll just do something else, and it's totally cool. And like, that's what we're here for, right? It's to support each other, and it's what's so wonderful about having this amazing community that's only going to grow. So yeah, I want to thank you for tuning in, Wes. I want to thank everyone in the chat. What I normally do at the end of my regular shows, other than the word game, which we're not doing now, we'd probably smash the record of level 19, which we almost beat tonight. We'll keep that just for my show. But I do a little credit thing where any other final words come up on the comments. So yeah, Wes, once that comes up, you're welcome to dial out, and then I'll end the stream as soon as these credits are over. So thank you, Wes, and I'll speak to you later, dude, and hope you feel better soon with your foot.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing it again.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Day. I had to remove that. Sorry, it was still on my main screen. You probably were like, oh no, not that again. I always do a post-credit thing where I come on camera and just sort of less in the show format, just say a couple of things. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone. Done 2.5 hours of shows tonight. I'm pretty exhausted. It's been a very, very long day, and I'm actually producing a webinar tomorrow for work, which is in 14 hours' time, which should be good. It's about cybersecurity. None of you will be interested. It's about in the legal sector. Although, if any of you are, go to cybersafe.com and check it out. But yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you. I know that I'm probably new to some game cats that don't tune in on the Friday show and stuff like that. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of say thank you. Please do hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and if you're able to tune in on Wednesdays, that's great. If not, make it to the Friday shows. And yes, I'm going to get a very nice and restful kip. Kip is such a great word, isn't it? And the other thing I mentioned on my show earlier is, and I didn't want to mention this in the main show, I wanted to wait until the end. For those of you that decided to stick around, today I launched YouTube membership. I'm transitioning away from Patreon. So if any of you want to support my live stream and my show, you'll see a lot of the custom emojis in the chat and the nice globes by people's names. If you click the join button, it tells you it's like $2.99 in the UK. I don't know what it's going to be in the US. Even if you subscribe just for a month and then want to cancel, that's absolutely fine. But I'm just really making a concerted effort to sort of get this show up and running. I've been doing YouTube for 16 years now. I feel old, and there's a lot of legacy issues I've been dealing with, but this feels like a good new beginning. And I've got a lot of thanks to give to Brian, who has brought me into the fold with PSVR Without Parole. It's an amazing community, and all of you that have been welcoming to me and have even come across to show support. I'm incredibly grateful. A lot of vitamin G, a lot of vitamin gratitude there. So yeah, I'm going to go and get some sleep now. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you. Be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. And I'll hopefully see you on Friday. Adios till next time.